Hey English learners! Welcome to today's shadowing practice session, one that's going to completely transform how you think about knowledge, learning, and yes, even your English speaking journey. But first, let me connect directly with you, our amazing learning community. Quick question, how are you feeling about your English speaking journey today? If you're excited and ready to challenge yourself, drop a comment below. If you're feeling nervous but determined, let me know. If this is your first time trying shadowing practice, share that with us too. Every single comment helps me understand exactly what you need, and remember, we're in this incredible journey together. Your progress is my success. Let's keep going. Today, we're diving into something that will blow your mind. It's about knowledge, but not the kind you think. We're talking about the difference between knowing something and actually using what you know. And here's the shocking truth. Most people have it completely backwards. Let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. Do you know someone who's incredibly smart, who's read hundreds of books, who can quote famous philosophers and recite complicated theories, but their life is still a mess? Maybe they know everything about healthy eating, but they're overweight. Maybe they understand all the principles of success, but they're still struggling financially. Maybe they've studied English for years, but they're still afraid to speak. Here's what's crazy, that person might even be you sometimes. I know it's been me. Think about it. How many English learning videos have you watched? How many grammar rules do you know? How many vocabulary words are stored in your brain right now? Probably thousands, right? But here's the million-dollar question. How much of that knowledge are you actually using when you speak English? This disconnect between what we know and what we do is one of the biggest problems in learning, in life, and especially in language acquisition. And today, we're going to solve it once and for all. There's a famous quote that says, "Knowledge is power," but that's only half the truth. The complete truth is this: knowledge isn't power, applied knowledge is power. Let me break this down for you in simple terms. Knowledge sitting in your head is like money sitting in a bank account that you never use. It has potential, sure, but it's not changing your life. It's not paying your bills, it's not buying your dreams, it's just sitting there. Applied knowledge, on the other hand, is like money that you invest wisely. It grows, it compounds, it creates results, it transforms your reality. Think about learning English. You might know that practice makes perfect. You might understand that speaking regularly improves fluency. You might even know exactly which areas you need to work on. But if you're not actually practicing, if you're not actually speaking, if you're not actually working on those areas, then that knowledge is powerless. Let me give you some real-life examples to make this crystal clear. Example number 1, health and fitness. Everyone knows that eating vegetables is good for you. Everyone knows that exercise keeps you healthy. Everyone knows that drinking water is important. This knowledge is everywhere in books, on the internet from doctors. But look around. How many people are actually applying this knowledge? How many people are actually living healthy lives? The knowledge is common, but the application is rare. Example number 2, money and success. Most people know the basic principles of building wealth. Save more than you spend, invest wisely, develop valuable skills, work consistently toward your goals. These aren't secrets. You can learn them in any personal finance book. But how many people are actually wealthy? Again, the knowledge is available to everyone, but only a few people apply it consistently. Example number 3, and this is the big one for us, learning English. You know that speaking practice is essential. You know that making mistakes is part of learning. You know that consistency beats perfection. You probably know that confidence comes from taking action, not from waiting until you're ready. But are you applying this knowledge? Are you speaking regularly? Are you embracing your mistakes? Are you being consistent? Are you taking action even when you don't feel ready? This is where transformation happens, in the gap between knowing and doing. Here's the insight that changed everything for me. The most successful people in the world aren't necessarily the smartest people. They're not the ones with the most information. They're the ones who take what they know and actually use it. They're the ones who execute. They're the ones who turn knowledge into action and action into results. In English learning, This means that the person who becomes fluent isn't necessarily the one who knows the most grammar rules or has the biggest vocabulary. It's the person who takes what they know and speaks it out loud, every single day, even when it's imperfect. Let me tell you about Maria. Maria was one of my students about 2 years ago. When she first came to me, she was incredibly frustrated. She'd been studying English for over 5 years. She knew grammar inside and out. Her vocabulary was impressive. She could read English novels and understand English movies with subtitles. But she couldn't speak. Well, that's not exactly true. She could speak, but she was paralyzed by perfectionism. She was so afraid of making mistakes that she rarely spoke at all. She had all this knowledge locked up in her head, but she wasn't applying it. During our first conversation, she said something that broke my heart. "I know so much about English, but I feel so powerless when I try to use it." That's when I realized she was suffering from the knowledge trap. She thought that learning more would eventually make her confident. She thought that studying harder would somehow magically translate into speaking fluency. She was trying to think her way to confidence instead of speaking her way to confidence. So I gave her a challenge. For 30 days, she had to speak English for at least 15 minutes every single day. Not study English, not read about English, not watch videos about English, speak English out loud to real people. She was terrified, but she trusted the process. She started with simple conversations with her family. Then she joined online conversation groups. Then she started recording herself speaking about her day, her dreams, her thoughts. Something amazing happened. Within just 2 weeks, her confidence started growing. Not because she learned new information, but because she was finally applying the knowledge she already had. She was turning her passive knowledge into active skill. By the end of 30 days, Maria was a different person. She wasn't perfect. She still made mistakes. She still had an accent. She still struggled with some complex ideas. But she was confident. She was communicating. She was using her English instead of just knowing about English. The knowledge had always been there. The power came when she started applying it. Now, here's what I want you to do. This isn't just theory. This is your action plan for transformation. First, I want you to identify one piece of English knowledge that you're not applying. Maybe you know you should practice speaking, but you keep putting it off. Maybe you know you should join conversation groups, but you're too nervous. Maybe you know you should stop translating in your head, but you keep doing it anyway. Choose one thing, just one. Don't try to fix everything at once. Second, I want you to commit to applying that knowledge for just 7 days. Not a month, not a year, just 7 days. Make it so simple that you can't fail. If it's speaking practice, commit to speaking English out loud for just 5 minutes a day. If it's conversation practice, commit to having one conversation per day, even if it's just with yourself in the mirror. Third, I want you to share your commitment in the comments below. Tell us, what knowledge are you going to start applying this week? When you make your commitment public, you're more likely to follow through. Plus, our community will support you and hold you accountable. Remember, you don't need more information. You need more application. You don't need to learn something new. You need to use what you already know. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. The most powerful knowledge in the world is useless unless you act on it. But the simplest knowledge, applied consistently, can transform your entire life. Before we wrap up, let me give you some quick tips for getting the most out of this shadowing practice. First, listen to this entire script once without trying to repeat anything. Just focus on understanding the message and feeling the natural rhythm of English speech. Then go back and work through it section by section. Choose a paragraph or 2 at a time. Listen to my voice, then pause the video and repeat what I said. Try to match my intonation, my pace, my emotional delivery. Don't worry about being perfect. Focus on being natural. English isn't about perfect pronunciation. It's about clear communication and confident expression. Pay attention to how I emphasize certain words, how I pause for effect, how I change my tone to convey different emotions. These aren't just speaking techniques. They're communication skills that will make your English more engaging and persuasive. And here's the key: don't just shadow the words, shadow the confidence, shadow the conviction. Shadow the belief that what you're saying matters. That's how you develop not just fluent English, but powerful English. As we reach the end of today's session, I want you to remember something incredibly important. You already have everything you need to succeed in English. You have the knowledge, you have the ability, you have the potential. The only thing standing between you and fluent, confident English speaking is the decision to apply what you know. The decision to turn your knowledge into action. The decision to speak even when you don't feel ready. Fluent speaking doesn't come from knowing more words. It comes from using the words you already know, boldly and consistently. Confidence doesn't come from perfect grammar. It comes from imperfect practice, repeated over and over until it becomes natural. You don't need permission to start speaking English confidently. You don't need to wait until you know everything. You don't need perfect conditions, you just need to begin, today, right now. Every time you choose to speak instead of staying silent, you're applying knowledge. Every time you take a risk with the language, you're building power. Every time you prioritize communication over perfection, you're becoming the English speaker you were meant to be. The knowledge is already inside you. The power is waiting for you to claim it. The only question is, what are you going to do with it? Thank you for shadowing along with me today. Thank you for being part of this incredible learning community. Thank you for choosing to apply what you know, instead of just consuming more information. Remember, knowledge isn't power unless you use it, and you, my friend, are going to use it brilliantly. Keep practicing, keep applying, keep believing in yourself. Your fluent English future is not just possible, it's inevitable. See you in the next session, where we'll continue building your speaking confidence, one word at a time. Now go out there and speak English like you mean it.